This is J. Krishnamurti's second public talk in Saanen, 1964.
We were talking the other day, when we met here, of the necessity of freedom. Not peripheral or fragmentary freedom at certain levels of one's consciousness, but we were talking about being totally free at the very root of one's mind, in all one's activities, physical, psychological, or parapsychological. Because freedom implies, doesn't it, a complete absence of all problems. Because only when the mind is free, then it can observe, act, be completely what it is without any sense of contradiction. To me, a life of problems, economic, social, private or public relationship, any problem at any level destroys and perverts clarity. And you need clarity. A mind that sees very clearly every problem. A mind that can, when it is asked to think, thinks very clearly, without any confusion, without any condition. That has a quality of affection, love, which is nothing to do whatsoever with sentiment, emotionalism. And to be in that state of creativeness, which is extremely difficult to understand and needs infinite probing into, you need to have an undisturbed, quiet, a mind that is functioning not only totally at the periphery, but also at the center. For such freedom to take place, naturally, spontaneously, without any sort of coercion, discipline, control, persuasion, we must understand this whole question of the arising of problems and the ending of problems. Because a mind that has a problem, which is really a disturbance, a mind that has problems, has escaped, is still crippled with problems. A mind that has not resolved every problem as it arises, at whatever level, physical, psychological, emotional, sentimental, reactionary. For such a mind there can be no freedom and therefore no perception, no clarity in its thought, in its outlook, in its perception. We have problems. Most human beings have problems. I mean by a problem, the inadequate response to a challenge, which creates a disturbance, or the incapacity to meet an issue totally, completely, with all one's being. Or the indifference, the habitual acceptance of problems and putting up with them. I mean by a problem, the incapacity to go through with an issue to the very end. Not in some future date, not tomorrow, but as it arises each minute or each hour, each day, and to go to the very end of it completely. And any problem at any level, conscious or unconscious, is a factor that destroys freedom. I mean by a problem the thing which you don't understand completely. A physical pain, physical discomfort, the death of someone, the lack of money, poverty. The never discovering for oneself what is true, if there is a reality, if there is a God, if it is merely a word without any substance. And the problems of relationship, both private and public, both of the individual as well as the collective. Not to understand the whole of that. Does breed problems. And most of us have these problems, crippling our minds and our hearts, and psychosomatic diseases arising from these problems. And having these problems, we either resolve, go to various forms of escapes, the worship of the state, the acceptance of authority, looking to somebody to help us to resolve our problems, or escape into the everlasting, useless repetition of words and rituals, or take to drink, sex, hate, and so on. Or self-pity. So we have a network of escapes, marvelously cultivated, carefully analyzed and accepted, and therefore put up with all the issues, with all the problems that arise, either rationally or irrationally, neurotically or intellectually. But these problems inevitably breed confusion. And the mind is never free. Now, I do not know if you feel as the same way I feel about the absolute necessity, not fragmentary necessity, not the necessity of one day because you are forced to face an issue, but the absolute necessity right through one's life, from the beginning of one's thought to the very end of life, to have no problem. I do not know if you feel the same way. Probably you don't. Because if one sees that very clearly, not as an abstraction, but as a necessity, as fresh air, as food, if you see that as a necessity and a truth, that the mind must be free of every kind of problem, then that from that perception you act, both psychologically, in everyday life, in our business, in everything you do and think and feel. So, the freedom from problem is the main issue, at least for this morning anyhow. Because probably I'll think of something else tomorrow and that make that into main issue, but it doesn't matter. Because to me, a mind in conflict is a destructive mind. Is a mind that is in constant deterioration. It's not old age that's important, nor youth, but this mind that is in conflict with regard and has many, many problems unresolved. That is the core, the heart of deterioration, of old age and decay. I do not know if you feel that way. If you do, then the issue is how to resolve problems. But first, one must see very clearly the truth of this matter, that a mind that has a problem of any kind, at any level, for any duration, is incapable of clarity, of clear thinking, of seeing things as they are, brutally, ruthlessly, without any sentiment, self-pity. Then without escaping, because that's what we are used to escape. Immediately a problem arises. And it's very difficult to stay with the problem. Without interpreting, without condemning, without comparing, without trying to alter it, without doing a thing about it, just to observe it. that demands complete attention. But no problem to us is ever so serious that we want to give complete attention. Because we lead a very superficial life. We are easily satisfied by quick, glib answers, responses. We want to forget it, put it away, and get on. And it's only when the problem is a real crisis, like in the case of death, lack of money, or when husband has left or the wife has left, or all that business, something that touches you intimately, then it becomes a crisis, a problem. And we never allow any problem to bring about a crisis in our life. We'll always push it away by explanations, by words, the various things we do as a defense. So, to understand a problem, we know what we mean by a problem. An issue that we have not completely understood and gone to the very end of it and finished it, which doesn't ever repeat again. It's finished. So to understand a problem, you have to understand contradiction. The extreme contradictions and the everyday contradictions of one's being. We think one thing and do another, say one thing and feel another. Respect, disrespect, rudeness and politeness, sense of arrogance, pride, and playing with humility. The many contradictions we have, both conscious and hidden. Now, how does this contradiction arise? Now, please, as I've been saying in all these talks, don't just merely listen to the speaker, but listen to your own thought. Listen to your own operations of reactions. Listen to your own responses when the question is put, so that you become familiar with yourself. See, if I have a problem, I want to know why it arises. Not how to resolve it, what to do about it, how to go beyond it, how to get rid of it, what's the answer. I'm not interested in all that. I want to know why it arises. Because if I can find the root of it, then I shall have answered all problems through the understanding of one problem completely. Going to the very end of it, to the very root of it. If I know how to look at a problem completely, then I have understood every problem that may come in the future. So I want to know how a problem arises. Psychological problem. We are dealing with that first. Because if I understand the psychological problem, then I can deal with the other physical problem, biological problems. Because the psychological problems distort every other activity. So it's very important for me to understand a psychological problem, how it arises, and resolve it. So that the mind is capable of meeting the next issue with a freshness, with clarity. Because our life is a series of challenges and responses. And I must be capable of meeting them. Otherwise, each moment, each hour, each challenge brings further problems. So I must not only find out how the problem arises, but also never to carry the record of that problem the next day or the next hour. You understand? Because my concern is to be free, not to have problems about God, about sex, about food, about anything. If God becomes my problem, God is not worth it. Because if there is a God, if there is such a thing as something supreme, beyond all the measure of the mind, my mind must be very clear, innocent, without a shadow of a problem, not crippled. So that's why I said from the very beginning, to me, as to everybody, even Karl Marx said human beings demand freedom. It's a necessity. The gods of the communists. So, to me, freedom at the beginning, at the end, in the middle is absolutely necessary. And that freedom is denied when I carry the problem over to the next day. So I have not only to find out how the problem arises, but also how to end it so completely, surgically, so that there is no repetition, so that there is no carrying it over, no feeling that I will think it over and then find out the answer. I don't know if you're following all this. I hope I'm making myself clear. Because if I carry a problem over to the next day, I have given soil for the problem to take root. And the operation of uprooting that problem becomes another problem. Yeah. So I have to operate so drastically and immediately that the problem has come to an end, complete. So you see the two issues. That is, not only I have to find out how the problem arises, but also I have to find out how to end the problem instantly. Right? Is that clear? What I am saying is not illogical. I've shown you logically, reasonably the necessity of ending the problem, not carrying it over. Whether it's the problem of my wife, my children, my lack of money or God or whatever it is. So if that's clear, let's proceed, shall we? Would you like to ask any questions about that? Up to what I've said, not further. Right, is this clear what up to now?
I understand when you say that money cannot be a problem.
The lady says she cannot understand why money is not a problem. It is a problem. I never. I'm going to. I said a problem is a thing that I do not understand completely, whether it's regard to money, sex, God, my relationship with my wife, somebody hates me. It doesn't matter what it is. I have a disease. I haven't got it, but I have a disease. And it becomes a problem. I have no money, it becomes a problem. Or I have little money just to come here, but the rest of my life it becomes a problem. Or sex becomes a problem. A problem. How to deal with problems, not with regard to money, sex, God. How a problem arises, not a particular problem. You understand? Lord, that's very simple. There are those people who give up the world, especially in the East, and wander from village to village with a begging bowl. They have no problems about money. Wait a minute. The Brahmins in India through centuries have established the custom that a man who gives up the world, he's respected. And the village or the people must feed him, clothe him. To him it's not a problem. He doesn't think, first to find God I must give up my clothes and then what am I going to do? He says I'm going to give it up and find out. I'm not advocating this here. But I'm just pointing out that there are so many problems Haven't you got problems? Not only money, sex, God, relations, whether you're loved or not loved, whether you want more, less, good God. If I have no money, that becomes my problem. What am I going to do? I worry. And that worry, that problem, that anxiety, that feeling of you have, I haven't got, all that creates a distortion. So we are talking about problems, how a problem arises. I think I made it fairly simple on this matter, or do you want me to go on with it? Bene? No? Right, so thank you. You see, I said a problem arises when there is contradiction. If there is no contradiction at any level, there is no problem. I will do. If I have no money, I'll go beg, borrow, do something. It won't be a problem. Come, madam. I will do something. Huh? What do you mean you can't do anything? You have the welfare state. If you are capable, you go and date. If you have got technique, a technological knowledge, you become this or that. Well, I don't know what we're talking about. But he's got welfare state.
No.
Then he dies. And then there's no problem. But that's not your problem, is it, madam? What? Then how? Wait a minute, let's look at it. Just look at it. It's my problem.
It's not my own person.
And then you're talking about somebody else. And then we're out.
Please, if one has a sick relative...
Wait. Please. Now you see, we are talking about somebody else, the other. The relative, my friend, this, that. I am talking of you as a human being with problems, not the other.
He has no one to look after him but me. How am I to come to listen to you and leave him helpless?
Don't come to listen to me.
I want to.
And then don't make it a problem.
Do you mean to say that there may be an embarrassing or inconvenient situation which remains like the lack of money, but there can be a state of mind which can rise above that?
No. You see, you are already gone ahead of me trying to resolve the problem, how to deal with the problem. I haven't come to that yet. I merely stated what the problem. You say not what to do about it. You've already said it must go above it or below it. What to do, what not to do, a relative, friend, a man who has no money, his old age. And so, you follow? You see what we are doing? We are escaping from facing the fact. Wait a minute, please don't listen to what I'm saying. Don't accept what I'm saying, but just listen. You are unwilling to face the fact that you have a problem, not somebody else. if you can resolve your problem as a human being, you will help another or not, as the case may be, in resolving his problem. But the moment you go after other people's problems and say, what am I to do? Then you have put yourself in a position in which you have no answer. Therefore, that becomes a contradiction. I don't know if you're following all this.
So I am illiterate through disabilities in childhood. This has been a great problem to me throughout life. It still is. How can I solve that problem?
You see, you're all terribly concerned about solving a problem, aren't you? Huh? I'm not, sorry. I told you right at the beginning, I'm not interested in solving problems, yours or mine. I am not your help. I said to you right at the beginning of this talks that you are your own teacher, your own disciple. You can only learn, not ask somebody else what to do and what not to do. We are here to learn, not what you should do about the crippled person, not what to do about the money a person that hasn't got, or illiteracy and so on, so on, so on, so on. You're going to learn about the problems you have, not be instructed by me. Please, don't put me in the wrong position, because I will not instruct you. Because then I become a leader, a guru, all the exploiting rubbish that exists in the world. So we are here, you and I, to learn. Not through instruction, not through study, not through experience, but being so alert, awake, so that you are learning. So our relationship is entirely different then. That you and I are learning. Not that the speaker is telling you what to do or instructing you, which is too immature, too terrible. Right? Sorry.
When you are capable of seeing all that one problem involves, how can you go to the root of it to resolve it?
The lady asks, how can one go to the root that creates problems? You haven't given me even a chance to go into it. You're all so eager to find out what to do. Please, do listen 2 minutes, if you will, that I am not telling you what to do about your problems. I am pointing out how to learn. What is learning? So that as you learn about your problem, the problem comes to an end. But if somebody tells you what to do about a problem, look at yourself. You then become a child being directed by somebody, and then you'll have more problems. That's so clear and simple. So please, once and for all, get this idea very clearly into your heart and mind, which is that we are here to learn, not to be instructed, and thereby commit what is heard into memory, commit it to memory. And the repetition of that memory is not the resolution of problems. Right? Because we are in learning maturity. There is maturity only in learning. There is immaturity only when you use knowledge as a means of resolving problems, which only creates further patterns, further problems. See, as I said, I am not interested if I have a problem, how to resolve it. Because the desire to resolve it is an escape from the problem. Right? I haven't understood it. I haven't gone into it. I haven't studied it. I haven't explored it. I don't know what the beauty or the ugliness or the depth of it. All that I'm concerned, I want to resolve it, put it away. Therefore, the urge to resolve a problem is an escape, and therefore it becomes another problem. Every escape breeds problems. I have one. I want to understand it completely. I don't want to escape. I don't want to verbalize about it. I don't want to tell anybody about it. I want to understand it. I am not looking to anybody to tell me what to do. Nobody can tell me what to do. If they did, there would be, and if I accepted it, it would be the most foolish, absurd thing. So I have to learn. Not bring all the memory of what I have learned about the previous problems, and with that memory deal with the present problem. Oh, you don't see the beauty of it, doesn't it? You know what it means to live in the present? No, you don't. To live in the present means to have no continuity at all. And that we'll discuss some other time. There is a problem. I want to understand it. I want to learn about it. And to learn about it, I cannot bring the memories of the past to deal with that. You understand? Because the problem, new problem implies a fresh thing. And I come to it with my dead, stupid memories. So I must deal with it in the present, in the active present, because the problem is active. And therefore the time element must be altogether put aside. Well, that will come to it. So, I want to find out how the problem arises, psychological problem. As I said, if I can understand this, the whole structure of the causation of problems, and if I am free from making problems for myself, then I will know how to act with regard to money, with regard to sex, with regard to hate, with regard to everything. I will know how to deal with it. In the very dealing of it, I will see it doesn't arise another problem. You follow? So I have to find out how a problem arises, not how to resolve it. Have I made myself clear up to the point? Now nobody can tell me how it arises. I have to find out. as I am going to explore into myself, you are exploring into yourself with me. Not listening to my words, because that won't help you at all. You must go beyond the words and look at yourself. So words become an abstraction, not a reality. The reality and the fact is the movement of your own inquiry which discovers, not the verbal indication. Right? Is this clear so far for this morning? Because, you see, to me, as I said, freedom is of the highest importance. And that freedom cannot possibly be understood without intelligence. And that intelligence can only come about when the mind has completely understood the causation of problems and resolves them. So that the mind is in a state of supersensitivity, alertness, attention, so that every problem is dissolved as it comes along. Otherwise there is no freedom. There is only then a fragmentary, a peripheral freedom which has no value at all. It's like a rich man with plenty of money and says he's free. Good God. He's slave to his drink, to sex, to comfort, dozen things. And the poor man who says, I am free because I have no money, he has other problems. So as long as this is clear, that there is freedom is the absolute demand on the part of a human being, demand and the maintenance of that freedom. Not mere abstraction, because it's only when there is freedom you can love. Like, how can you love if you are ambitious, greedy, competitive? So, how does problem arise? Have we time this morning? No, just a minute, don't say yes, sir. I'm doing all the work. I'm not interested at all in resolving the problem or seeking somebody who will tell me how to resolve the problem. No book, no leader, no church, no priest, no savior. We have played with that for millennia, 2 million years, and we haven't resolved our problems. Going to church, confessionals, none of those will solve our problems because they only multiply, as it's the case now. So, how does a problem arise? As I said, when there is no contradiction within oneself, there is no problem. Because contradiction implies the contradiction of desire, right? Desire is not contradictory. Desire is never contradictory. But the objects of desire are contradictory. Right? I want to be famous. Well, no. Because I paint, write a book or some stupid thing I do, and I want to be famous, recognized. And nobody does. There is a contradiction. And I'm miserable. There's death. I haven't understood there is a contradiction. Love, you know what contradiction is. So, I see desire is the beginning of contradiction. Not desire itself, but the objects of desire are contradictory. So, I have to say, before I change or concentrate or deny the objects of desire, say I'm going to stick to this one desire, this object and nothing else, which again becomes a problem, because you have to resist. You follow? And you build up a barriers, and which creates problems. So I have to understand not how to reduce the objects of desire, but I have to understand what is desire itself. Right? You will say, what has this to do with problems? I am showing how desire, which apparently we think creates conflicts, contradictions. It is not desire that creates contradiction, but the objects, the aim, the ends of desire that creates contradiction. And I'm also pointing out that it's no good merely trying to say I have only one desire. That's like the priests who say I have only one desire to reach God. He has innumerable problems of which he is unconscious, of which he is not aware at all. So I have to understand the nature of desire, not deny desire. Do you understand? I mean, all the religious literature says you must destroy desire, be without desire. That's all rubbish. I have to understand it, how it arises. How does desire arise? And what gives continuity to desire? You follow the problem? Oh, are you coming with? Huh? There is. I want to find out how desire arises and what gives it continuity. Not how to end it. You can see how desire arises fairly simply. They're getting impatient, I'm afraid. We'll go on. I'll briefly indicate it. We'll go on, supposed level. There is perception. I see the seeing of a beautiful thing, the reaction to that beautiful thing, the sensation. Please see, this is very simple. There is perception, contact, sensation, without contact even, then out of that sensation, the desire begins. Look, I see a beautiful car, and the lines, the shape, and the beauty, and all the rest of it. And I want it. To destroy desire means I must not be sensitive to anything. Right? The moment I am sensitive, I am already in the process of desire. I see a beautiful shirt, a beautiful woman, or whatever it is. Nice property, nice face. Man with tremendous intelligence, integrity. And I want to be like that. Because I've seen. And I want that. Therefore there is perception, and the reaction of that perception, sensation, and the beginning. Right? This is what happens. There is nothing complicated about this. Then begins the complexity of it. Then thought comes in and gives it a continuity. I think about that car, or that woman, or that man, that property, that look in the face, or that intelligence. Then I give to that, then that desire is given continuity through thought. Right? Otherwise it has no continuity. I can look at that car and that's the end of it. You follow? But the moment I give an inch of thought to that car, then contradiction begins. Then the continuity to desire. Right? I think we will stop, don't you? An hour is long to sustain a talk like this. No?
So can it be desired without an object connected with?
Che vuole
You
dire?
say before.
Dito un po' di italiano, per
We
favore.
have to describe the desire and not the object connected with the
No,
desire.
no, there is no such thing. There is no abstraction of this. There is no abstract desire.
So the desire is always connected with the thing, with an object.
Ovvio, sicuro.
Because you say before, we have to speak about the desire and not with the mechanism of desire and not the object connected with it.
And I did that, sir. I pointed out how desire arises and how that desire is continued. How through thought we give continuity to desire. Up to there we have stopped. I'm sorry, we must continue Thursday.